Hey, everybody. Welcome to May's Akashic message for May 2026. How is it already May? It is crazy that time is flying by this year. I trust you had a lovely April, and if you didn't, well, hope you're hanging in there and doing what you can. These are crazy times in this world, and we all need to do what we can to um, to nurture ourselves. Um, I am going to channel the Akashic energy for May 2026. As always, I invite you to take what resonates and leave the rest. This is collective energy. And so you may resonate with part of it, you may not resonate with any of it. However, if you don't resonate with it, I always invite you to look around and see what's happening in your communities and or with the people around you, with just globally. If you're into keeping track of what's going on globally, you may notice patterns, even if you're not resonating with yourself. You may notice the patterns outside of you. Before we go into the records, I always do pull a card from my Wisdom Keepers inner guidebook, my favorite, from Rosie Aronson. I love, love, love this deck, which is based off of the 64 gene keys, and the 64 gates of human design and the I Ching and all the stuff. So as I was shuffling the cards, I got a really brief message. Sometimes I get really long messages when I shuffle, but it was just really quick when it came through. Um, that's not the right one. I have like 5,000 different notes that I just like have in my space to remember things, and I've got the wrong notepad. Okay, so I heard it's gonna be May. um, like that. Is it the NSYNC song? I don't remember if it's NSYNC or Backstreet Boys now, but that song, "It's Gonna Be May." And from that, I really, the message that came through was to allow the joy and the laughter and the fun in. Because I always think that song, when we talk about it, like it's gonna be May, it's kind of silly and makes me laugh. So allowing the laughter, joy, and fun this month. Life is meant to move. Life is moving faster, but you don't have to. Let it meet you halfway. Let life meet you halfway. It's also Taurus season for those of you who are into the zodiac. And so Taurus is all about, nurturing and doing the things that feel good for us. And most of May is part of Taurus season. Gemini season starts later on in the month, but the majority of May is this Taurus energy of like nurturing ourselves and taking care of ourselves on the physical plane, which I do really think is so important, especially this year with all that's been going on in the world, and in people's personal lives. I drew the 63rd Wisdom Keeper for this month, which I thought was really interesting. It's all about inquiry. If you notice, it might be hard to see, but there's an elephant on this guy's um, forehead, and elephants are all about wisdom. And the forehead is like the third eye point, so intuition. And so, really trusting our intuition to find wisdom. This is head energy in human design. So, it's all about ideas and inspiration. And the shadow of this gate is doubt. I'm getting really stuck in the pressure of trying to figure life out and like constantly doubting the experiences, constantly doubting our thought processes, constantly doubting logic. But the gift is inquiry, and the city, which is like the highest energy, is truth. And so all the head energy, there are three head gates in human design, and all the head gates have a question associated with it, like a W question associated with it. So who, what, where, when, why. And the question for the 63rd is what? So just asking what? What is this experience telling me? What is going on in this situation? What's happening here? And I really love this energy because it really is basically saying that nothing is true, and that makes everything true. It's kind of a mind, it's a paradox, but the essence of the 63rd Jinky is that paradox is the natural way of things, and that if everything is true, nothing is true. And if we can really get curious about what's going on in our world, we can find new experiences and new opportunities and new ways of being and thinking that will expand our horizons. So, in the I Ching, this is called after completion, which is kind of silly because it's the 63rd of 64 gene keys. And the 64th is called before completion. But basically, when everything is complete, all we have is truth. And truth is constantly changing. And if we inquire and really get curious, we can really see that those really fixed ideas that we have about the world and about what's right and what's wrong and what's left and what's right and what's black and what's white, like none of it is really true. Like nothing is consistent. And when we try to be really, really secure in our logic, it holds us back from seeing deeper truths. So this is a really profound energy. I think it's really timely for a lot of the things that we have been seeing in the world this year and how so much of it is testing what we believed to be true and exposing truths that maybe are making us uncomfortable. So really good energy to sit with, and to be curious. And I think, getting curious and like seeking that inquiry goes along really well with like being playful and allowing more fun into life. Because when we get stuck in rigid systems, that keeps us kind of stuck in one way of being, and that can keep us exploring and having fun in new ways. All right. It is time for the Akashic Records. I am so excited to see what comes through. Let's go. The Akashic Records for the collective consciousness are now open. I'm calling in all of our angels, guides, ancestors, anyone else for our highest truths and gentlest good only. Akashic Records, please help us. Give us some insight. Give us some inquiry. Give us some information about what we can do this month to what energies first of all are on offer for us this month, and how can we best navigate these energies to the best of our abilities, so that we can kind of ride the wave of them and not get stuck in, forcing life when it's not resourceful to force. Or coughing. I also heard a nut chew in my head. I did not sneeze, but I heard it in my head. Throat energy is still being played with. This is really going to be an energy for the whole year. It's been an energy that is being exposed and um, brought more into the forefront of our lives. It's been like this for multiple months. Um, the throat energy coming online, throat blockages being cleared, and it's happening this month. It's continuing this month. Expect this message to come through until the end of the year and into the first half of 2027. Um, this is a time of throat clearing, and it's going to continue this month. Um, and when we can get out of our heads about how we think things should be, when we can get out of that feeling of doubt, going back to this card here, when we can get out of that feeling of like doubting our intellect, doubting what what our heads are telling us, doubting the information coming in, um, or being too rigid in it. Because when we doubt, that also can keep us in a rigidity. When we can get out of our heads about what the world is supposed to look like, doubting our personal experience, doubting the experience around us, when we allow an inquiry, it allows room to open up for us to speak truths that we may not have been comfortable speaking before, when we maybe were truths we didn't even really know that were important to us until we started to see life another way by asking that what question and getting curious and allowing inquiry in. So it is connected, as it always is. So of course that is an energy that's going to continue to play out this month. It's not like it's not going to be super loud this month. I, the energy of there's still going to be throat clearing. There's still going to be, more people that you may be noticing more people around you speaking their truths more profoundly, more loudly. Um, People that you didn't expect to be speaking out will be. It's a theme. It's a theme. It's a theme throughout this whole year, as we said. And it's not going to be super loud this month. It's going to be more happening in the background. There are other themes that are going to be more prominent. And it really does have to do with this energy of curiosity, getting really curious about what is happening um, in our lived experiences, whether that's on the news, if you're seeing things happening on the global stage that are concerning, that are confusing, that don't make sense, that are causing you to doubt humanity. Um, Getting really curious about the stories that are being told on the news, getting really curious about the stories you have been telling yourself about your life, especially if you are someone who is seeking some sort of change. There is a group of you tuning in who are looking for change in your life, and that could be um, a change of career, a change in where you live, a change in community, a change in just your inner being. There's a lot of you going through alchemization right now in your being, in yourself, which is causing your outlook to shift. And so there's a lot of change happening, either internally or externally. If it's not happening now, it is something that you're desiring. And so for not everybody tuning into this, but for a select few. And so if this is you, if you resonate with that, the invitation is to get really curious about what is going on in your reality. What is making your reality the way it is right now? What can you do to change that reality? Understanding that change doesn't usually happen overnight. There are instances where your life can turn around in a second and everything is different from one day to the next. That happens occasionally, but the majority of the time, change is gradual, change is subtle, change is one baby step after another that brings over time results. And oftentimes, to be truthful, when you do see someone who has that changing overnight experience where it looks like on the surface they're going from one lived experience to another in a very short amount of time, usually that is a result of years, sometimes years of baby steps that result in a big change overnight. So, getting really curious about what is happening in your lived experience, what is happening around you, what is happening um, internally, because that is going to give you clues into making the decisions that you need to make to experience more change, whatever the change you're looking for is. Um, we're in extremely transformative times, if you haven't noticed. And not only is that happening globally, collectively, but that is happening individually. We are shifting and changing. We are going through a mutation as humans to expand into a species that is capable of more at the energetic level, at the physical level, at the mental level, and at the heart level. And when we say a species that is capable of more, we don't necessarily mean this as doing more, because that is what you, in your current um, phase of humanity, tends to think when you hear do, like physically being capable of more. That's not necessarily what we mean. You are actually moving into a period of humanity where you are going to be doing less as humans, but still getting results. And in fact, getting more results than you would have if you would have been doing more. So, a humanity that is capable of more is a humanity that has a more open heart, more open mind, inquiry, curiosity, what's going on here, asking those questions, allowing your mind to expand, and open and open and open and open. I totally lost my train of thought there. And this is Britta speaking. I felt that there was something else that was coming through on that wavelength that I was speaking about, and I just like totally forgot it. But I'm trusting that that is okay. Yes, the records are saying yes. It's all as it's meant to be. Don't worry about it. The message is coming through as it's meant to. Oy, 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 oy. Humanity, okay. Humanity is coming, is entering a shifting point. This is the crux of the message. And this inquiry is essential for making that shift. Because if you're stuck in old ways of thinking, if you're stuck in rigid belief systems, if you're stuck in um, logical ways of thinking that, like, it has to be logical or it's not right, that is actually holding you back from expanding in all senses of the word. There is a lot of the good things on offer this month. At the collective level, there will continue there will continue to be things happening in the news cycles that are disruptive, that feel scary, that are um, not what the majority of people on Earth are looking for, hoping for, because we do want to say that the majority of people on Earth want the best for each other. There are outliers. There are people who are not good in their hearts and souls, but they're not the majority. So, anyways, there will continue to be things happening in the news cycles that are scary. But again, get curious. What is really happening here? What is the purpose of this message? What would happen if I didn't pay so much attention to those messages going on in the news? Or how can I use this information in a way that's resourceful? Because there's nothing wrong with wanting to stay informed about what's going on in the world. And different people are going to have different levels of interest in that. Some people are really interested in that, and other people aren't. But if you are interested, we do invite you to get really curious about what you're witnessing, what you're listening to, what you're hearing, what is even true, and what is worth your time, what is worth your mental energy, what is worth your emotional energy, and where can you put your focus that is really going to serve you and was really going to open up space for you. Because you get to choose where you tune into. And sometimes the most responsible thing is to turn off the news and listen inward. And it's going to be different for everybody, but everybody has a different mission in this life. Some people are meant to be really, really, really tuned in to the news cycle, and other people aren't. And not both are okay. But what is serving me? Again, going back to that what question, what is serving me right now? And what would best serve me right now? And what can I do to be my best self? Because my best self is going to help the collective And if I am here to be the best version of myself, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm always tuned into the news? Maybe, if that's part of your mission, but maybe it's not. And both are okay. The only thing that's not okay is if you are going against what you feel is best for you due to pressure or the feeling that you need to be a certain way to be a good person. There are so many ways to be a good person, and getting curious about what that means for you is really going to help you move into the rest of this year and the coming years with more ease and grace and flow, because we are at a disruptive time in history. It is how it's meant to be. This time is helping us expand as humans. And this is the month where we start to get really, really curious about all of that. To not just respond to that, because over the last few months, there's been a lot of responding to things happening externally because it's been scary with good reason. But now we're at this point in the year where we get to, instead of responding to what's happening to us, whether with fear, whether with moving towards it, whether with organizing, whether with stepping back because we know that's what our mental health needs, now is the time to get really curious about it all, about what's happening externally in the world, what's happening internally, what's happening around us in our communities, because that is what's going to lead to change. And if you are looking for change, as many of you who are watching this are, it starts with getting curious. That's the first step. That is all. We are so delighted to have connected with you again. We are so thankful to spend this time with you, and we will chat with you next month in June. Much love. Mwah. All right. The Akashic Records for the collective consciousness are now closed. Wow. That was a really powerful message. And I think a beautiful reminder. I think, we've been conditioned by this society that like we have to constantly doing to be successful, to be productive, to be a human. And just to step back and get curious and ask those questions of ourselves, like, what do I need? What is needed in this moment? What a powerful reframe from constantly doing to like actually just stepping back and being curious, and how that has often been diminished in our past as a collective because we've been wanting, it's not being curious, isn't actively doing anything. But as the record said, it can change everything if you take the time. So I hope you have a beautiful May. If you enjoyed this message, please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you feel so inspired. I have an Akashic gathering to get back to, so I'm going to say goodbye for now. See you in June. Stop recording.